Thanks for holding, Pia. You're on with Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Hello, Dr. Dyer.
Hi, Pia. How are you, my dear?
Hi. Oh, I'm great. I can't believe I'm the first call. I think I should go out and play Powerball. Well, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's really good to hear. And I think we actually spoke about a year ago. I used to teach kids with autism, and at the time I was teaching kids with autism. And you sent me a couple of your children's books.
Right.
And, and you sent me those books. And, I remember you telling me that I had such a gift to offer the children. And you even had told me you saw a book in me. And, I think at the time I was really struggling between staying with the children, teaching the children with autism, and transitioning into teaching yoga. And I had decided come June when school was out, I was going to, I had been teaching a yoga class in recovery for people in recovery of addiction and trauma all throughout the year. And I love it, and I loved the gift of it, and I loved everything you were saying about how your pain's being relieved through certain exercises you're doing, because what I have noticed through people in recovery especially is that, especially even going, I myself I'm in recovery, and I practice the 12 steps, and even moving through the 12 steps in a yoga practice, like being powerless and knowing you don't have control over anything except your own choices, and being restored to some sanity, some acceptance, some patience, and having the willingness to let that all go is such a powerful practice in the yoga. And it just, this summer, my gosh, I'm teaching 6 different classes throughout Santa Monica and LA, and I've seen my practice grow, and I've seen how, people, especially specializing in the yoga for recovery, how people have really gravitated towards me that way, and it really gave me the courage to let go of teaching the children the way I was teaching them, but embracing the teaching with the adults that are guiding these children, and so,
right.
And I think about something you said, because, while I'm practicing with these people, I'm like, okay, well, I'm reminding myself of everything, right? And so the patients, and so how much I love being of service, there's still a bit of that financial fear, like, wow, I love doing this, and my gosh, but how am I going to get my bills paid, right? But I see that it continues to grow, but I remember you saying something about patience. It's just having that absolute knowing.
That's right. Infinite patience produces immediate results, and getting, that's a big part of this whole thing. Most of us don't realize how much of our lives we live in fear, from the time that we're very, very little to even the simple little things like I drive the speed limit because not because I think it's the safe thing to do, and I love everybody else and I don't want to cause any damage. I drive the speed limit because I'm afraid that if I don't, I'm going to get a ticket if I speed or something. And it's like, you multiply that times 1,000 different explanations, and you start seeing that fear. And you just, even in what you were just saying, we always manage to get somehow that fear, and particularly around finances and so on, that it's not going to work out and things aren't going to. And then we forget that we're aligning with a universal divine mind that says, if this is what you're thinking about and this is what you want, then I'll just match up to that, because it's just like Abraham says, it's just an alignment with a vibration, an energy vibration. And if you start to vibrate to prosperity and abundance and seeing it that way, and it's the same with the healing thing that we were just talking about. If you start, really to vibrate to that internally with all of your thoughts, you'll attract that into your life. And by the way, the combination of using yoga with the teaching of autistic children and teaching the adults in their life, that word word yoga means union. It's like you're really just, all you're doing is reconnecting to your source of being, which is an infinite source of abundance and prosperity and joy and so on. So, thank you so much, Pia.
Thank you so much. And, like you were saying, I have found you so tremendously helpful in my life, and I know you're tremendously helpful with others. And And I would love to be of service to you. And I'm going to be in Maui in January, and I would love to gift you some yoga to help in your healing.
That would be wonderful, because that's the thing I'm going to get back into next, is getting back to yoga. So you're coming to the January conference?
No, I'll just be in Maui right after New Year's for a few days with my husband.
All right. Well, you'll find me. I'm easy to find, right on Kaanapali Beach.
Okay, great. I will.
All right. Thank you, Lisa, and God bless you. And we're going to send you, I've got something out there with Eckhart Tolle called The Importance of Being Extraordinary. So we're going to send you a copy of that video today.
Oh, thank you so much.
So leave your address. All right. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. God bless you, dear. Mm-hmm.
And let's go right to another caller. Really good questions. Tamara here in San Diego on line 7.
Hi. Hi.
Hi to you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm happy to hear that you're feeling well. That's great news.
Yes.
Okay, my question is that, well, I've heard you say that there's a whole world of people out there that want to help you to achieve your dream, and I know that to be true because one of my missions is to help people to achieve their dreams. But I notice that sometimes when I need the most help and people offer it to me, I push it away and I have difficulty receiving it. And one example is I put on a production like 3 years ago, and some friends offered to pay for it to be professionally taped. And I didn't receive that gift because I was like, well, what if, I had so many what ifs in my head. And so now I'm working on some other things, and I know that, I have people around me who love me, and even strangers, I'm sure, would love to be a part of, this wonderful experience that I'm a part of. And I don't know what's inside me that doesn't allow.
Oh, I can tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Because we just talked about it. It's this big word, fear. I mean, it's and the Course in Miracles says, and it's like it's just such a basic fundamental truth. It's either fear or love. Whatever you're feeling, whatever experiencing you have, even whatever thought you have, it's either in fear or it's in love. And any thought that is in fear cannot be love. And any thought that is love cannot be fear. And if you look at just the words of Jesus and all of the great spiritual teachers, that basically saying that what is God? God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in me. So when you are in, having a loving place within you, you're with God. You're aligned with your source of being, whatever you want to call that. The Tao, divine mind, spirit. It doesn't make any difference. And when you're not, you're in fear. But fear can't be love. So what your fear is that that I'm not worthy of this, of receiving these kinds of things. The ability to give is really the other side of the coin of the ability to receive. And if you're not able to do one, you can't do the other as well. And basically it comes from like, am I worthy enough? And you just have to ask yourself, I came from God. My origination point is from my source of being. I'm going to return to that. And when I do, I'm going to know a kind of experience that has no opposite. That's what oneness is. That's what love is. That's what divine love really is. It's a love that has no opposite. It's like if I ask you what's the opposite of love, you can say, well, it's hate or it's fear or it's, indifference or whatever. Imagine being able to be in a state of being in which where you fuse the dichotomies, where you've transcended the opposites, where there is, there's joy and there's no opposite of joy, which is sadness. There's love and there's no opposite of that, which is fear or hatred and so on. And if you can get to that, the closer and closer you get to that, it's what you're doing is you're saying, I choose not to be in that place of fear. Fear of being disapproved, fear that I won't be able to make it, fear that other people won't like it, fear that that I might fail at something. If you could just let go of all of that, and when people are offering you something, you got to look at those people and see them as God.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what is God doing all day long, whatever God means to you? Well,
Right,
I mean, I'm just looking out at this beautiful day here, and I'm looking at the sky, and I'm looking at the air that I'm getting to breathe, and I'm looking at the rain that fell last night to keep the grass green, and I'm looking at the ocean, and and it's like, it's just endlessly abundant, and it's like, and it's a gift. It's always giving. It's always like, here I am. This is what love is. Love is just about giving, and if you can get yourself to that place where you're saying thank you instead of I don't deserve it, or it's and that's stuff that got programmed into your subconscious mind from the time that you were a little kid and you went off to school and you were told, if you don't get to good grades, and if you don't behave, and if you don't dress the right way, and if you don't speak the right way, then there's going to be consequences, and you start all these fears and this is why the great poet Wordsworth said that. Talking about, he said, heaven lies about us in our infancy. A birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. A sleep and a forgetting. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Why does heaven lie about us in our infancy? Because that's when we're connected to God. And it's like infants, every infant in the world, whether it's a Taliban infant, or whether it's an infant from San Diego or anywhere, it's like they just come from a place of divine love. And then we get taught all of this other stuff. You have to perform. You have to do things in a certain way. You have to be better than other people. You have to compare yourself to others, instead of just being in that place of just divine oneness where everything is just fulfilled. And it's like in the Bhagavad Gita, it teaches us to let go of our desires. And we say, well, how can I get rid of all my desires? Well, you don't have to get rid of all of them. But when you are fulfilled, when you really feel fulfilled and you really feel blessed, which I feel every single day of my life, the enormous number of blessings that I have, and I'm, so blessed to have so many people who love me, including my own family, but to have, wherever I go in the world, I mean, I walk into the room and people stand up and just, they're basically saying how much they love me. That is such a powerful feeling to know that's for all of us. Once you get to that, Tamara, once you get to that place, I'm telling you, everything will flow to you, including the healing that I just described, the absolute miraculousness of all of it. There were so many little things that took place. And as I step back and look at them, which is what I did when I wrote I Can See Clearly Now, you've got to be able to see clearly now that every time that you have allowed fear to step into your world, you've moved a little bit away from love, a little bit away from the knowing that you are perfect. You are a perfect divine creation. There's nothing for you to prove. Have you read Anita's book, Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me?
I have not.
Yeah, well, we're going to send you a copy of it today. It's about a woman who had a near-death experience and what she learned and how she has come back and what she has done and how she's teaching all over the world about, basically, the presence of so much cancer and so much disease, particularly cancer and diabetes and some of these and asthmas and even skin disease. So much of this stuff is related to, we just fear after fear after fear multiplied by it, and our whole lives become obsessed with being afraid. That I'm not enough. I'm not going to do well. I'm going to be disapproved of. And when you get rid of that and you're in a state of pure love, I tell you, that's the healing that took place for me, and allowed me to do this new PBS show, which I think you're going to just be stunned by.
I can't so wait. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for you to read Anita's book because I found her and wrote the forward to it, and now she's out there. And this is a woman who was at such a stage of end-stage cancer that no one has ever even survived it. And when she opened her eyes and had this absolute miracle take place for her to come back and to tell her story, and she's doing it like in such a profound and beautiful way. In fact, she filled in for me in Washington D.C. for about an hour of the time that was devoted to me, and I understand she was just stunning. So I want you to read it. I think it'll be really important for you. There's nothing for you to do, Tamara. You just have to be yourself. Listen to the Beatles song. Just let it be.
Right.
Yeah, there will come an answer. It's when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, and I'm giving these to you right now. Just let it be.
Let it be.
Let it be. Yeah. By the way, today's the 1 year anniversary of when I spoke at the home of the Blessed Mother, the Mother of Jesus in Ephesus, Turkey. It's the birthday of Jalaluddin Rumi, one of the greatest poets who ever lived back in the 13th century. September the 30th is his birthday. So happy birthday. He would be 806 years old.
Oh, my
today.
gosh. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So thank you. Leave your address. We're going to send you Anita's book. And thanks for calling in. And I love you very much.
I love you, too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And let's go from San Diego to British Columbia to Prince George, BC, and talk to Andrea on line 4. And thanks for being patient, Andrea. You're on with Dr. Dyer today.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Hello, Andrea. How are you today?
I am great. I am very happy to talk to you.
Me too.
You are the first person that got me on my spiritual path.
Really?
You are.
How did that happen? What was it?
I think it was a PBS show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just looked into your work and just actually, it's a very long story. I found some of your stuff at the library because I had a cancer scare that ended up not being cancer, and it was the 101 Ways to Transform Your Life.
Oh, my goodness. I hear more people tell me how important that was to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I practically know it off by heart, I swear.
Wow.
So I'm having a little problem lately.
What is that, dear?
Well, I just recently learned about GMOs and Monsanto.
Oh, boy.
And
Don't get me started. I'm going on a rant.
well, that's how I feel. Here I was just, learning more spiritual things and finding inner peace. And now all of a sudden I have this, and I really feel the need that I need to spread the word and tell everyone.
Me too.
But it really
Me
messes
too.
with my inner peace.
Oh, but don't let it do that. I got the
I'm
same deal
trying
going.
not to.
Yeah. But in fact, one of the people that was in the audience that I'm going to do a public television special with next year is Bill Davis, who wrote a book called Wheat Belly, where he talks about gluten and wheat and how toxic the wheat that is made today is, because it's all been genetically modified. Not only has it been genetically modified, but it's been modified to be able to reproduce its own pesticides.
I didn't think the wheat was part of it. I thought they scrapped that one.
No, wheat is 100% of it. About 99% of the wheat in this country is from genetically modified. Wheat used to grow Remember, I don't know if you. I know you're from Canada, but through Purple Mountains, Majesties, that whole song. Amber waves of grain. That's supposed to be wheat. Wheat now, it used to be 4 or 5 feet tall. Now it's 17, 18 inches high. It's dwarf wheat. It's all been modified. First of all, so that you have to come back and buy the next generation from Monsanto or whoever owns a patent. How they've been able to patent and own food that goes into the ground. And then Time Magazine has an issue just a few weeks ago saying, where are all the bees going? Why are half the world's population of bees have just disappeared in just the last couple of years?
I know,
and almost everything that we're planting out there, we've modified out there. The bees, they don't look at this. I mean, they say, "What is this?" So this isn't a flower. This is something that's been created in a lab and owned by a company. I told you, it's a rant for me. But
it's one for me too.
But for me, it's like I'm coming from a place of peace. I volunteered to do this PBS show. I'm not going to be paid anything for it at all. I'm going to do it with this guy who's written this book, which I recommend very much. It's called Wheat Belly, and Hay House has a wonderful book. In fact, we'll send you a copy of it. Worry Free, Wheat Free, I think it's called. We'll put a copy in the mail to you when you leave your address today. And it's so he was in the audience, and when I discovered this and went gluten-free completely on the summer solstice on June the 20th, I can't tell you the difference that it's made, not only for me, but for so many people in my own family, and it's been practically a lifesaver for me, and so I mean, the gluten that and then gluten is just one area of this. I mean, it's like on Maui, 99% of the papayas are now GMO'd and owned by Monsanto. You open up a papaya here that grows in the ground, and you open it, there are no seeds in it. You know, who ever heard of a papaya or a watermelon without a seed in it? You know, it's like that's supposed to be some wonderful thing that we've done. And the reason for that is because, you know, we used to take the watermelon seeds from the previous year, put them in the ground, and we grow new watermelons. It's sort of the way God figured out this whole system, you know. But what they've done is modified them so that the next generation doesn't reproduce. If you want to get watermelons next year, you got to come and buy them from one of these big companies that have. It's a horror show, and it's something that's. But we can change it, and we're not going to change it with fear, and we're not going to change it with anger. The way I've done it is I've just decided to go gluten-free, to eat organically, to really to put no processed food into my body and all of that. But I'm making a commitment to go on national television and to tell this story with a cardiologist who's written a book about it. There's another new book out on it called Brain Grain. I think it's about how these grains are making us all so toxic in our world. So.
Well, thank you so much for making a commitment to go spread the word.
Yeah, that's what I want you to do. Because as soon as you come from anger, what you do is you produce more of what you don't want. You know, we're already upset about what is going on, and then I join in being upset. So I've just doubled the amount of negativity out there. What you have to do is commit yourself. I think it's part of the obesity crisis that we see on our planet. You know that. If you take gluten out of your, like my one daughter did that, who's had a serious weight issue for many years, and she's taken off 25 pounds in about 2 months, just like that, just by doing nothing but removing wheat and gluten, you know, particularly gluten from her, and staying away from genetically modified foods.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just what you do is you take this kind of stuff that exists, as my friend Ramdas always would say to me, Wayne. Starving children in Africa are part of the perfection of the universe. And I think, how can you say that? He said, but so is your desire to end it, a part of the perfection of the universe. Stay with that rather than what you don't want. If you put your attention on what you don't like and what you don't want, and you do it enough, you'll just attract more and more of what you don't want.